Welcome to my YouTube channel, Careers Unboxed. On this channel, I interview black professionals from around the world. Just so I want to hear their career journeys, what they've been through, what inspired them, what kept them going, why do they do the stuff that they do. And it's my hope as you see these black professionals from all over the world, you will be inspired as well. So as we say in Swahili, twende, let's go. Brian Longwe, an IT entrepreneur based in Malawi. Brian has had a very interesting career. Started very humbly, but achieved so much with so little, and he's still doing it, and amazingly. Let's go to Malawi and meet Brian. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Carrie. It's really exciting for me to be here and great to see you.
Okay, excellent. So Brian, I really wanted to have you here just to have a chance for you to share your career journey. It's been a very impressive one. I'm really, what can I say? I really admire the journey you've been on and what you've accomplished. So maybe to start us off, why don't you tell us a little bit like, what are you currently doing? What's the name of your company? And what is it all about?
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Carrie, for this opportunity to share a little bit about what I do and my journey. Currently, I am the CEO and co-founder of an internet service provider in Malawi, which is also known as the warm heart of Africa. We, as a family, moved here about 6 years ago, and I took up a job running a fiber operator and then left after 3 years to start this startup internet service provider, mainly to fill a niche that we found in this market, which is to provide residences and homes with high-speed broadband internet access. So that's what we do, and that's what I've been doing for the last 3 years. And yeah, I'm in the startup world, enterprising, entrepreneuring, and it's 3 years now that we've been running this business.
And what's the name of your company?
The company is called Converged Technology Networks. It's a little bit of a mouthful. So we are in the process right now of unleashing or unveiling a brand name, which is much easier to pronounce and also resonates with the local people. And the brand name is Tieni, which is a Chichewa word, which means let's go. So we want to sort of get people onto the internet so that they can go. Tieni.
I like that. Oh, wow. That's a brave move. So Brian, how did you get into IT? What sparked your interest and how did you get there?
Wow. What a story. And what a question. So my journey into IT goes way back into the early 90s in the dusty streets of Nairobi. I had just finished high school. My grades were not good enough for me to get into university, public university. My parents were broke. They couldn't afford to put me into a public university or a private university rather, or private admission. So I opted to sort of just, instead of sitting home waiting for things to happen, just get out there and try to see if I could fend for myself. And I found myself walking door to door, selling grapes, as it would be. I was walking door to door, selling grapes in some upmarket neighborhoods. And one of the doors I knocked on happened to be the house of an old family friend, a lady who worked in the publishing department of the African Medical Research and Education Foundation, AMREF. And she was surprised to see me, and she was even more surprised to see me selling grapes. So she said, Brian, come sit down, have a cup of tea, and tell me what you're doing selling grapes. So I told her my story, and she was like, you're a very good storyteller. Do you know how to type? And I was like, no, I don't know how to type. And she was like, well, I have a laptop over here. This is 1992. Huh? I have a little laptop over here, which has a typing tutor, a program called Typing Tutor. If you want, you could be coming over maybe for half an hour or an hour a day and just learn how to type. It will be something, a skill that you could always use, whatever you end up doing in life. And I was really excited. I jumped at the opportunity. And instead of spending an hour a day, I just got so fascinated with the computer. I ended up spending 8-10 hours a day on that thing and asking her to bring me books and reading as much as I can. And she saw that I was so interested and told me about an opportunity that opened up at AMREF for volunteers in the computer department to help them with data entry. They were computerizing. They were moving their systems from, manual bookkeeping and accounting to computerized, electronic bookkeeping and accounting. So they needed data entry to be done for the finance department to input all the files into the new accounting system. And they needed volunteers to help with that. So I was one of 4 volunteers that was given a stack of files that reached almost to the roof, almost to the ceiling rather, to enter. And we were given about 4 months to do this. But by that time I was really good at typing. I was a touch typist. I had a typing speed of about 45 words per minute with 100% accuracy. So within a month I was done. And the other guys still had they were still only a quarter way through. So the computer manager was really impressed and said, are you sure this is complete? And she checked and everything was okay. So she said, okay, fine. So maybe I can give you a few other things to do. So eventually I kind of became the IT support guy at AMREF. I was the one training all the new people as they were being moved onto computers. But that's how I got into IT. And from there on, it was just one thing after another. I was there for about a year. Then I left. I joined an IT startup as a system support guy. And the boss was really mean and nasty and didn't pay us on time and really tortured us. So 3 of us left and started our own IT company in 1993. And we sort of went and worked hard and hard and hard. And when the money started coming in, we fought a lot and I left, and eventually got into the internet world and was part of one of the first ISPs in Kenya, bringing internet connectivity into Nairobi for the first time in 1996.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to hear a little bit more about that because I know you've just begun, as you began sharing, I know you're one of the, first people, to really push the internet in, to really be part of the internet movement in East Africa and how that expanded, regionally. A
very interesting attribute or aspect of my own personal career and probably me as a person is I seem to have developed an affinity for the unknown, an addiction to new things and risk and the thrill of the bleeding edge, not even the cutting edge, bleeding edge, literally. Because the moment a new technology comes out, boom, there I am, I'm on it, So this is how it was in the 90s. It was so exciting, in Nairobi, all the technology is just splashing and every year something new is coming out. There's Windows and there's Windows 3.1 and there's 3.11 and Windows for Workgroups and Windows 95. And then there's the internet and there's email. And I was at the forefront of all of these things happening. And I deliberately went out of my way to associate myself with companies or businesses that were actually involved in technology at the time. So one of the companies that was providing email services in the mid-90s was a company called Formnet Africa. And they were providing email only. And it was store and forward email. There was a server with a modem and it would dial to a computer in the UK and collect everybody's email 4 or 5 times a day. And it had a bank of modems on the other side and people would dial in from their houses and collect their email. So it was just email only. And I joined and, started as a reseller installing email accounts for people, right? So I'd go with a modem, sign up sheet, get the customer to sign up, install the modem, set it up, configure it, and they'll be able to check their email. And I'd get paid a commission. I would be paid 1,000 Kenya shillings, which at the time was about, I think back then a dollar was at 60 Kenya shillings. So, you know, I don't know, do the math. 1,000 Kenya shillings, 1,000 divided by 60, basically, roughly. I started connecting so many people per day that my commission check at the end of the month was higher than the highest paid salary of employees in that company. So after 3 months, the MD says, no way, I need to talk to this guy. He was given my check to sign. And he's like, what is this? What is this? A commission? No way. Call him. I need to talk to this guy. Who is he? So I find myself sitting in the office of the managing director, and he says, I'm sorry, I can't be writing a check like this, you know, for a commission. We're paying you more than we're paying our highest paid staff in this company, you know? So you have to make a decision. Either you stop working with us or you join us as staff and you come in at management. I told him, okay, cool. I don't mind being a manager, you know? And that's how I ended up joining Formnet. And I was given a choice. I was told, you're good at sales, but you're the one who does all the installations on your own. So you also seem to be good at technical. So you have a choice. You can either join the sales team or you can join the technical team. Which one do you prefer? And I said, technical. I'm thrilled by technology and I want to be right there where it's happening. So I joined the technical team and I became the assistant to the technical manager, who was a guy from Mexico. The son actually of the Mexican ambassador to Kenya at the time. So for him, it was more of a hobby, part-time kind of thing that he would come and do, you know, in his time off. And then eventually they left because the father's term expired and he went back to Mexico. So who else was left to run the show but yours truly? So this is 1995, 1996. And then digital internet happened. And for the first time, we were able to set up international connections that could get us connected to the internet backbones in Europe. And I worked day and night, hours and hours to set up our connection, which was going out over satellites and connecting into a company in the UK called Pipex. And eventually we were able to send the first ping. And you know, we had internet, and we now started providing our same email customers with internet browsers so that they can get on the internet and browse it and, you know, begin to experience this thing. And just the thrill of it was just amazing. So, you know, that's how it began for me. And from then on, I was part of the sort of very rapid technological development that happened in Nairobi in the late 90s, early 2000s. And as more ISPs came into the mix, I was very much about seeing, can we find ways of working together so that we can grow the internet industry as a whole? So participated in establishing the first ISP association, the Telecommunication Service Providers of Kenya, was involved in setting up and building the first Internet Exchange Point in Kenya, the Kenya Internet Exchange Point, or IXP. And this caught the attention of the international community. The effort that I put in to building the Internet Exchange Point and bringing ISPs around the table to agree to collaborate. And they said, can you help the guys in Uganda do it? So I found myself on a plane helping the Ugandans do it, training them, training the regulator, talking them through the process, training them technically what to do, and then eventually walking them through the setup and helping them to get their exchange point going. And then I was asked, can you help the people in Tanzania do it? And, you know, ad infinitum, you know, I did Tanzania, then I was in Democratic Republic of Congo, Kinshasa, and then I was in Mozambique, and then I was in Botswana. And I eventually found myself having gone into about 13 different countries, training them, talking to regulators, talking to ISPs, teaching their technical people, teaching their decision makers, policymakers, CEOs on how to collaborate. And at the same time, I was still working, running an ISP. This was all on a voluntary basis on the side. And a lot of this work was being supported by the UK Department for International Development, as well as USAID and IDRC, which are organizations that are just interested in development in all aspects.
So I think that there's something interesting you say, and maybe it might open somebody's mind in a different way. I'm just curious, like you say you needed the ISPs to work together. Could you just say a little bit about that?
Maybe just before I talk about the ISPs working together, I'll explain what an internet exchange point does. An internet exchange point is like a clearinghouse for internet data. So just the same way you have a clearinghouse for banks, which is able to clear transactions between all banks. You know, a central bank or a reserve bank, some countries call it a reserve bank, acts as the clearinghouse and is able to settle transactions between banks in a particular market. In the same way, an internet exchange point is a clearinghouse for internet service providers. And it helps an ISP in a city or a country exchange traffic directly with an ISP in the same city or country. Before internet exchange points, what used to happen is an email from this ISP and a user on this ISP going to a user on this ISP would have to go internationally out maybe to the US, through Asia, through Europe, and then get down to the end user on the other ISP, even if these guys were literally just 5 kilometers away from each other in the same city. So internet exchange points provided ISPs with the opportunity to quickly exchange local data. And that allowed for improved services to their customers, but more importantly, a reduction in the cost and the expense of international backhaul. So you didn't have to now use expensive international links to exchange local data. So the whole premise of an internet exchange point is about collaboration. In fact, the relationship that happens at an internet exchange point is called peering. Each ISP is called a peer. So they peer with each other. So peering is basically saying, I'm just like you, you're just like me. Let's shake hands and let's freely exchange traffic so that the world can be a better place. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that amazing? And that's exactly what we did. And that's what we've been doing and continuing to do.
That's really impressive. So you helped 13 countries to be able to set up. That's yeah.
Yes. The work became, or the demand for this kind of work became quite big. So I was asked to facilitate the establishment of an African ISP association, which could be able to now, as an organization, receive funding, mobilize individuals, and go out across the continent to ensure that this work can be done consistently and with follow-up and follow-through. So for about 6 years, I served as the general manager for the African Internet Service Providers Association. We used to call it AFRESPA, and worked with a team of about 40 consultants all over the continent in different countries, some Francophone, some Anglophone, some Lusophone. Lusophone is Portuguese speaking, right? Mozambique and Angola. And of course, in North Africa, the Arab speaking languages, Arab speaking countries. So we were able to push out across. By the time I was deciding to step down and let others take over, we had done about 13 different African countries in terms of training, capacity building, and helping them establish their internet exchange points. From as far west as Dakar, Senegal, to as far east as, Somalia, and South Africa, Cape Town, and up north, Egypt, Cairo, and on and on.
I remember in 2007, you were recognized in an ICT Africa Award. Based on what you have said about the 13 African countries you were involved in, maybe that kind of explains it, but why don't you tell me more about what the award was and what precipitated the award?
Yeah, that was an amazing moment, Carrie. And I remember it as if it was yesterday. I was in such shock. To have the Minister of Communication in South Africa call my name and call me up and hand me this massive trophy and this massive plaque that said top ICT businessman in Africa for 2007. That was just boof, mind blown. And then when you look at the reasons that they cited, they said that for this year, for the first time, we're going to look at giving this award not on the basis of commercial successes, not on the basis of commercial achievements or coverage, but we're going to look at giving this award on the basis of impact. We want to recognize businessmen who have had a huge impact on Africa as a continent. And that's when now they called my name. So it was amazing to just get recognition for the work that I'd been doing for the previous maybe 6-7 years around the continent. And I think this is something that happens when you're doing what you love. You never really think about accolades. You never really think about, oh, will anybody notice or whatever. You're just doing it because you have a passion and you love it, and you're helping people, and you genuinely want to see people's lives transformed, or people's businesses transformed, or countries, in fact, because the work that we were doing was transforming entire countries. And that's what was the big, sort of reward for us. Just seeing, these collaborative networks of ISPs established, and then all of a sudden the country's internet just starts, boom, exploding, right? So yeah, for me, that accolade was just a bomb. Every once in a while, when I'm feeling down, I go and I look at that thing and it's sitting over there and I'm like, yeah, never give up. Never give up. Keep on pushing. Keep on pushing.
Oh, thanks, Brian. Well deserved. Well deserved. Okay, wow. So now you had your thing going in Kenya, I know. And so what made you take this radical step now to move to Malawi? Everything, I mean, you seem to have, you're Kenyan, you're half Kenyan, half Malawian. So why the move to Malawi? What precipitated that? And yeah.
Yes. So around 2012, I found myself in Nairobi, and I found myself feeling just this itch that I couldn't explain, right? I was not comfortable, I was not settled. And I started looking around, and I felt like working elsewhere, right? I felt as if I've done my part in Kenya. The ICT scene was bumping and jumping, and the most amazing things were happening. The submarine fiber cables had landed 2 years previously. Internet bandwidth had exploded across the whole country. Apps were being developed. All kinds of innovation was happening. It was exciting, but I felt as if I'd done my part. I played a role in getting things going. Now it's happening. Is there anywhere else that has problems where I can help? So I started looking around, and I found a couple of different opportunities online that I applied to. And one of them was a position with Oxfam, which is a humanitarian organization. They're not normally the first company or organization that you'd associate with the internet, but they had a very innovative project that they were implementing in the north of Uganda. And they were looking for a program manager for this program, and the program was called Internet Now. And basically it was a project which was looking to use internet technologies in post-conflict northern Uganda to help improve livelihoods. The north of Uganda had suffered from 21 years of civil war. And I mean, literally, it was a war zone completely. You had bombed out buildings, bullet riddled, buildings all over the place. And by the time I was getting there had been 9 years of peace. And you now had what were being called returnees. So during the conflict, a lot of people ran away. They went as refugees into Sudan, into Kenya, into Congo, into Rwanda. And now, because there had been peace, they started coming back. And of course, they were coming back to an area that had been completely devastated by conflict. So there was very little in the way of economic stability in that region. So there was a lot of development work going on, humanitarian work in terms of social protection, gender protection, rights, and all of that amazing stuff. But a lot of development work also around economic growth and development for the region. So this program was looking to use internet technologies to improve the livelihoods of people in this post-conflict region. So I applied for the job and I was interviewed and I got the job. So I was given a 3-year contract to move to Uganda, establish a social enterprise that would do 3 things. It would provide ICT literacy, training, and skills to communities in the region. It would find ways of helping the people who have been trained get online work, business process outsourcing, and thereby get employment and income using the internet. And 3, it would find ways of using technology to boost agriculture, knock out the middlemen, provide access to markets, and all of those nice things. So that's what I set out to do. And within 3 years, we had done quite a good job. We had about 450 youth trained and working and employed on business process outsourcing. Their lives had been completely transformed. The social enterprise was on its feet. It was standing. It had a strong team leading it. And my job was done. Essentially, when I signed up to that 3-year contract, my job was to work myself out of a job. And that's what I did. So come the end of 3 years, I was or as we were getting close to the end of the third year, I was like, okay, what do we do next? And I asked my wife, where to next? Do we go back to Kenya? And she was like, no, I don't really feel Kenya right now. We've been here in Uganda for 3 years. Let's pray about it. So we took some time and prayed about, where next. And, it came from her. She said, why not Malawi? Why don't you try and see if you can find a job in Malawi? And the long and short of it is that through some very strange circumstances, I was offered a position to come to Malawi and be the general manager for a company called Simbanet that had just entered into a public-private partnership with the Malawi government to build and operate a fiber network which connects Malawi to the rest of the world and provides internet connectivity to government, the telcos, the mobile operators, and the ISPs. So that's what brought me to Malawi. And I did that for 3 years, then quit my job so that I could set up Converged technology networks, a startup ISP, and connect homes, connect individuals to the internet, many for the first time.
I can imagine now, you've had a lot of experience running your own thing. So you running your new IT company was not, what can I say? It was, though it had new challenges, there were some things which you are a bit familiar in how you could navigate them, right? So what I would like to know is what are some of the challenges, or what have been some of the challenges of running an IT enterprise in Africa, and specifically Malawi and Kenya? What have been some of your challenges?
Yeah, so there are a lot of challenges that I can mention. I will start with one that may not be as obvious at the beginning, but it is a very critical and fundamental issue when it comes to building any company. Many people think that to succeed in business, all you need is just enough money. but that's not really true. For a business to be successful, it needs good people. The human resource is the most critical factor for the success of any business. You need people who know what they do, are good at it, are committed, are faithful, and have integrity. The quality of the people that you have in your company determines the level of success and growth that you'll be able to experience in building that business. And of course, when we talk about people, you have to start with yourself as a founder. You have to have certain values, you have to have a certain level of passion and commitment and dedication and devotion, because things are gonna get hard. And you need to be able to dig deep and reach into something greater than you that will keep you pushing on. So finding the right people is the biggest challenge. Finding good people, building that team that is going to be able to lock together with you and push through all the challenges and hurdles and overcome them and grow and grow and grow. That, I would say, has been the biggest challenge through the different ventures that I have started in Africa, in Kenya, in Uganda, in Malawi. Now, I have also had the opportunity to start ventures in Botswana and a few other countries. And that has always been the biggest challenge. And by tackling that challenge first, it makes it much, well, not easier, but it helps in terms of overcoming other challenges that come up.
I know. I'll just like to hear just a little bit more about that, because I do know that, for example, in Kenya, so many people are very well educated. People are really also well skilled and trained. So, I mean, I wouldn't like, what is the issue? Because I know they're qualified or well-trained people, and basically in all the different countries. So I'm sure the challenges in Malawi might be a little bit unique. For example, if the Wi-Fi has not been as, the internet hasn't been as forthcoming, and now it's more growing as opposed to Kenya. So I'm just a little bit.
Yeah, very good point there, Carrie. So yes, the challenges when it comes to the people will vary from place to place and will vary from moment to moment or time to time. In Kenya, in the early stages, so if we go back, I started my first company in Kenya, as I mentioned, in 1993, right? And we were 4 of us. We started the company. And, you know, we had the technical skills, and we had one guy who was an amazing salesman. And we grew very fast. Within a year, we were doing multi-million deals. But as soon as the money started coming in, we started fighting, right? We started fighting over what to do with the money. One guy wanted to buy a car and stop catching the bus to and from work every day. He wanted to be seen, I'm a director of an IT company. I need to have a car. Hey, I can't be riding the javelin. I can't be jabbing day in, day out. No. Another guy was living in a servant's quarter or a boy's quarter in South B, and he wanted to move into a 3-bedroomed maisonette in Westlands. So he wanted to move into a bigger house. So he needed money to move and furnish his big house so that he can be seen to be successful. I said, let's put the money back into the business and give it time to grow and pay ourselves dividends and see what we can do with those dividends if we make profit. Or decide on salaries that we can pay each other, and once you get paid your salary, it's up to you what you do with it. We fought and it ended up breaking up. I was the first one to leave. A few months later, somebody else left. A few months later, the other one left, and the whole company just imploded. Within 2 years, it was gone. So what was the problem with the people here? The skills were there. The knowledge was there. The commitment was there. The passion was there, but the integrity was not there. The values were not shared. That was the problem. And in my experience, that has been my biggest challenge. Here in Malawi, we don't really have too much of that kind of an issue. The problem here is more to do with the history of the country, and the Malawians are very laid back. They're very docile. They're very, how do I call it? Not aggressive like the Kenyans, right? So you'll find that the challenge here is more to do with getting somebody who is a self-starter, somebody who will not insist on being supervised all the time. There's also a skills challenge because since the country has somehow had delayed development, if I may use the term, there's not been that much exposure, especially in technical areas. So you find that there's a skills challenge or there's a skills gap. But of course, skills gaps can be filled through training. We had that in Kenya in the early days, and we were able to train and we were able to learn ourselves very quickly. So knowledge can be learned and can be found. So yeah, whichever way you cut it or slice it, the most critical thing is finding people who are good enough building blocks that you can shape and grow the business together with. And there'll always be challenges. It might be, an issue of values. It might be an issue of integrity. It might be an issue of skills. It might be an issue of experience. But eventually you have to be able to sort of sift through and get the right fit and then move with that.
I know you've been doing a bit of mentoring lately. I think I've been seeing on your LinkedIn wanting to kind of impact the next generation of whether it's IT entrepreneurs or people who are considering that field generally. How is that going? And maybe say a little bit more about that.
So yes, I have been involved, or I have been getting myself involved in some mentorship programs. There's one that I joined recently. There's an organization called the Business Technical Institute. And what it does is it has a 12-month entrepreneurship program. And for about 4 of the 12 months, the entrepreneurs in the program are supposed to be mentored. So it's an inaugural program. This is the first year it's been running. So they put out a call, or they sought out people who can come on board and be mentors. And I was one of 12 that was invited to join. And yes, we are mentoring these very exciting and, energetic young people, and some not so young also, who are interested in growing and in starting and growing businesses. Mentorship is interesting because as a mentor, you're more of a coach as opposed to a teacher, right? So you need to be able to help the mentee or the entrepreneur think through and solve their own problems, not just tell them this is how you solve it. Go and do A, B, C, D, right? And this has been the hardest part for me as a mentor in my engagements, because I'll see my mentor struggling with a problem and I know exactly how to solve it. But just telling him how it can be solved right away will not help him develop the knowledge, the skills, the experience, the problem-solving capability, the grit. I have to literally grit my teeth and sort of take a step back and say, have you thought about this? And just hope that they will pick up the right thing. And I'm like, yes, that makes sense. Now, why do you think it makes sense? How about, maybe if you try look at this area, and then they go and they sort of figure their way out, become a cheerleader. But there's also the part of, just helping them in their skills development, because they are learning certain skills. And it's not all the time that you sit in a class and you're able to understand everything you're taught. So you might get stuck on some things. So, being the sounding board for those kind of issues. So it's exciting. I love it. I enjoy giving back.
Hey, thanks for that, Brian. And you've kind of highlighted some of the critical skills that somebody needs in the work that you do. And you've said about honesty, integrity, about having a vision, as you're coming together. And I would just like to hear out what other skills do you find to be critical for the work that you do, and somebody can be able to whether enhance them or whatever. What are the critical skills that you think somebody needs apart from the ones that you've highlighted, or if you want to mention them again? Yeah.
Okay, I think as an entrepreneur, and I assume here that I'm talking to other entrepreneurs or people who are interested in entrepreneurship. As an entrepreneur, you have to learn to be brutally honest with yourself, right? What do I mean by that? It's very easy for us to sit on our high horses and think that we know everything, we're on top of the world, and that's an easy place to be. But the reality is very different. We all have limitations as individuals. We all have our weaknesses. We all have our strengths. It's very important at as early a stage as possible, identify not so much your strengths as much as your weaknesses, because that's what's going to get you. Your strengths are not what's going to kill you. It's your weaknesses that are going to get you. So you need to identify your weaknesses. Be very honest with yourself. Like, I know I'm terrible with numbers. When it comes to accounting, finances, sorry, I just, okay, I've learned how to sort of strengthen myself in that area over the years, but it's taken 20 plus years of entrepreneurship. I've made if I tell you some of the mistakes I've made with money and accounting and finance, you will probably shake your head and laugh until you cry, or just weep. And I'm just not good with money. So that's a weakness. That's something that I know I'm bad at. So I always need to have somebody who's good with money to work with. Somebody who's good with accounting and with finances. And I can focus on all the other things that I'm better at and that I'm stronger at. And we have this amazing guy who's just come and he's doing an amazing job, and we don't have to worry about that side of the business anymore. Yeah. So yeah, I think honesty about your weaknesses is very, very, very important. And then, of course, problem solving, you need to be able to, take the bull by the horns. Sometimes when we're faced with challenges or with problems, there's that feeling that we all have that we just want to sort of hide our heads, kind of like just sort of turn away from the problem or turn away from the trouble because it's messy, it's unpleasant, it's nasty. You have to learn to develop the ability to stay even when things get sticky and messy and difficult, and walk through the issues with a clear focus and a clear mind and solve them, unpack them, break them down into smaller pieces, solve them one by one and get through. And that takes a certain type of madness, I think I would call it, a certain type of insanity, to be able to sort of like, be facing what could probably be, your biggest failure ever, and not panic and start screaming and shouting and running around, and just stay calm and sort of like say, okay, let's take this one step at a time, and eventually find yourself having climbed that mountain and come out on the other side. Yes, you're limping. Yes, you one side of you is burnt completely and you're smelling of smoke, but you made it through. So yeah, entrepreneurship, tough.
And how do you stay sharp? Like, how have you maintained your, whether it's technical expertise or whatever, how do you stay sharp?
I'm always learning. That's just personally me. I'm always learning. One thing I learned right at the beginning is, as far as technology is concerned, you're never there. There's never a place where you reach where you say, okay, now I know it all. Now I'm the best. No, that's, I think, an impossible state as far as my line of business is concerned. So I'm constantly learning. I'm always reading. I'm always on the internet Googling. I'm always searching. I'm always looking for ways to improve things because, especially with technology, the life cycle of innovation has become shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter as we go. So the state of play today is going to look so different 3 months from now, just because there's been an innovation that's come in from Ghana, another one from Czechoslovakia, another one from Germany, and another one from Japan, which have just changed the state of play. So you need to stay on your toes, and you need to be constantly learning, and you need to stay sharp. And the only way to do that is, lifelong learning. I'm always reading, always reading.
Is there any career advice that are you glad that you never took?
Yes. My dad wanted me to take accounting. I am so happy. I am so thankful that he did not have the money to pay for me to go to an accounting college. Hallelujah. God works in mysterious ways. God works in mysterious ways, He knew that if he gives my dad the money, I will be sent to an accounting school and I will fail. So he withheld them. He withheld the resources. Yeah.
But I would like to add that maybe that would have helped you where you're out in your weaknesses. But
Oh, yo. Maybe now I can appreciate taking an accounting course and whatever. But I think at that stage in my life, that would have been like putting a frog in a pot of hot water to boil. Okay. It cooks without even feeling it.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Brian, for your time. I just want to find out, do you have any parting shot, any advice you might have? You've given a lot of advice, but any parting shot for a young professional or a teen trying to figure out their life goals or career moves?
Yeah, I have actually. It's one parting shot, but it's kind of like a sword because it cuts two ways, right? And my parting shot is this: pay it forward. In life, you will come across people who will do something for you, which is pure grace. They will not do something for you because you paid them or because it's helping them in any way. They will just do something out of the goodness of their heart or out of whatever motivation, but they will do something for you that helps you get one step ahead. Always think about how you can do something for somebody else to help them get ahead. Have that attitude in you. How can I improve somebody else's life? How can I make somebody else's life better? Whether they're bigger than you or smaller than you or look different from you or a different color or younger than you or older than you, it doesn't matter. But just how can you do something good for somebody else? That's my parting shot.
And how is it double? You said it cuts both ways. What's the other side?
It cuts both ways because it's both to the older as well as to the younger. If you're older and there's something you can do for a younger person to help them get a leg up, either through mentoring them or training them or giving them an opportunity to volunteer or intern in your organization, do it. You never know what will come out of it. I was given an opportunity to intern in AMREF in 1992, which shaped my entire career. If that hadn't happened, I don't think I would have ever been able to have entered into this world of possibilities that technology is, right? And that was out of the goodness of somebody's heart. So, you know, the double-sided thing is, to the older generation, let's help these younger people get a break in their lives. Give them a chance, give them an opportunity, give them a try. We may not understand them. I don't understand my own kids. You know, they're adults now, 20, 18, 15. I mean, we are totally ish, you know, but, you know, we can open a door for them. We can give them a leg up. And to the young guys and girls, do something for somebody else. Always. This world has taught us to be so selfish, so inward, so self-centered. But we need to learn to open ourselves and give, because it's in giving that we receive.
Wow, Brayo, thank you. That was excellent. And thank you for making time, and thank you for all that you shared.
You're welcome, Carrie. It's always a pleasure.